English with EduWorld.
Learn English. Connect with world.
Hey everyone, welcome back to English with EduWorld. I'm Anna, and I'm really happy you're here with us today because we're talking about something that can completely change the way you sound when you speak English. We're diving into the real secret behind natural pronunciation and speak naturally.
And I'm Kenny. If your goal is to sound clear, smooth, and confident when you speak English, not perfect, just natural, then you're in the right place. Make sure to subscribe and stay with us because today we're giving you something you can use immediately in real life.
Hey Kenny, can I ask you something kind of personal before we start?
Sure. That already sounds dangerous.
When you hear the word celebrity, who pops into your head first?
Singers, actors, K-pop stars, movie people.
Yeah, that's what most learners say. But in American English, celebrity isn't just fame, it's influence. Sometimes the most famous people aren't on a stage, they're changing the world quietly with ideas.
Like CEOs? Scientists?
Exactly, influential figures, people whose decisions move markets or history.
Huh, I never thought about it like that.
So tell me something real. Last time your coworkers talked about someone like that, what happened?
Oh, yesterday actually. They were talking about Elon Musk at lunch, and I tried to join.
Yeah? What did you say?
I don't know, something like, he's kind of crazy, but what he does is out of this world. He's very smart, very rich.
That's it?
Yeah, and then silence. Everyone else kept talking, longer sentences, big ideas, and I just stopped.
You felt small.
Yeah, like my English suddenly sounded like a kid's.
That's the moment nobody talks about. Not grammar mistakes, not vocabulary tests, that quiet embarrassment when your thoughts are deep, but your words sound shallow.
Exactly. My brain had more, but my mouth only gave smart, rich, crazy.
Because those are low status words. They're not wrong, they're just flat. In real American English, people say things like, he's a risk-taking visionary, he reshaped an entire industry, he thinks 10 years ahead of everyone else. Feel the difference?
Yeah, it sounds more adult, more respected.
That's what we're learning today. Not harder English, higher status English, language that carries weight. That's why we built English with EduWorld. Just conversations like this, real, human, honest. Learn English, connect with world. If you've ever felt that lunch table silence, you're not alone. Subscribe and stay with us. We'll fix it together. Quick reflection question. When you look at a figure like Elon Musk, what draws you in more? A, their massive power and influence on the future, or B, the personal struggle and grit you admire in their journey? Comment your answer, influence or admire, below, and let's see where this community stands.
Yeah, after that lunch, I almost wished I hadn't said anything.
You froze?
Not froze, just small. Like everyone else was thinking in paragraphs, and I only had 3 words.
That feeling hurts more than a grammar mistake, right?
Way more.
Tell me what happened next.
One guy said Musk is rewriting the future. Another said he's dangerous. They were debating for real, fast, passionate. And I just kept saying, yeah, he's smart, he's rich.
Yeah, that's survival English, not conversational English.
It sounded so basic.
Because Americans don't just describe people, they describe impact. They say things like, he's shaping the game, or she changed the way we live, or that decision will ripple for decades. It's human English, emotional, alive.
I had another moment like that last week. We were talking about Obama. I said, he's a good leader. That's it. And someone else said, he restored trust during chaos. Same idea, but it sounded deeper.
Yeah, same meaning, different weight.
And then, one more time, my cousin was talking about a scientist who built cheap vaccines. Everyone said she saved millions of lives. I just said, she's famous.
Oh, that word kills the story.
I know, I could feel it.
Because famous talks about attention, but Americans care about influence. They'll say things like, she moved the needle, or he changed the landscape, or she's ahead of her time. That's everyday English people actually use when they respect someone.
So it's not vocabulary, it's perspective.
Yeah, exactly. You're not bad at English, you're just translating thoughts too safely. You're protecting yourself, so you choose short words. But short words make your ideas sound small.
That's me.
Yeah, and honestly, that's almost every learner I've met. So the real problem isn't I don't know English, it's I don't know how to sound like myself in real life American English. And once you see that, you can't unsee it, because the next step is uncomfortable, but it's where everything starts to change. So once you notice it, Kenny, you can't unnotice it anymore.
Yeah, it kind of follows you everywhere.
Everywhere how?
Like yesterday at work, people were debating Elon Musk again. Not praising, not attacking, just analyzing him.
Hmm.
And they sounded so calm, so mature. One guy said, although you can't deny his vision, you could argue his leadership style is chaotic. I just sat there thinking, how do people even build sentences like that?
Yeah, that's very American English. Not black or white, not good or bad. It's layered.
When it was my turn, I said, he's smart and rich. That's it.
Oof.
I know, it sounded like a middle school comment. I felt small.
Because adults don't speak in labels. They soften, they nuance. They say things like, despite his success, some people question his ethics. Or, one could argue he's ahead of his time. Or, he really paved the way for the next generation. See how it's not attacking, not worshiping, just thoughtful.
Yeah, it feels safer, smarter, like you belong in the room.
Exactly. Real conversations about influential figures aren't emotional explosions. They're careful, almost diplomatic. People hedge their opinions. They say, I might be wrong, but, or, it's hard to ignore the impact he's had.
Meanwhile, I'm just throwing rocks. Good, bad, crazy.
And psychologically, that's fear again. When we don't have language to protect our thoughts, we shrink them.
So it's not that I don't think deeply, I just can't express it deeply.
Yeah, and that gap, that silent frustration, that's where so many learners live for years without realizing it.
Yeah, if you're listening right now and that sounds like you, trust me, you're not alone.
And before we talk about anything else, we need to sit with this discomfort a little longer, because what it's doing to your confidence is bigger than you think. Let's go deeper. Let's go deeper. Because here's the thing, Kenny. What you felt in that meeting, that wasn't a vocabulary problem.
Then what was it?
It was rhythm. It was how native speakers shape ideas, not just words.
Rhythm?
Yeah, American English isn't sharp and short. It stretches. People soften opinions, circle around thoughts, give them space to breathe. Last week at EduWorld, I overheard two colleagues talking about Obama. Nobody said he's great. Nobody said he's bad. One girl just went, I mean, whether you agree with his policies or not, you kind of have to admit he changed the tone of modern politics. See that?
Yeah, it sounds mature, calm.
Exactly. Not louder, just deeper. That's what we practice every day at English with EduWorld, too. Not perfect grammar, but real-life English. Conversational English. The kind that feels human when it leaves your mouth.
So it's not about sounding smarter.
It's about sounding real, like you belong in the conversation, not outside watching it.
Okay, then how do we actually learn to talk like that?
Good question, because from here, this is where things start to change, and this is where the solutions finally open up.
So this is where the solutions finally open up.
Yeah, and funny enough, it starts with something really small. Not grammar, not memorizing fancy words. It starts with how you see people.
What do you mean?
The way you describe someone shows the level of your thinking. Like last month, I went to a networking event. Everyone was talking about Elon Musk and Sam Altman, future stuff, AI, self-driving cars, humanity, big conversations. And I noticed something interesting. The beginners said things like, he's smart, he's rich, he's crazy. Short, flat, dead sentences.
That sounds like me.
Yeah, and it's not wrong, it's just small. But the Americans there, the way they spoke, it felt different. Their English carried weight. It sounded like real American English, thoughtful, layered, human.
What did they say?
One guy leaned back and said, honestly, Musk isn't just a dreamer. The guy operates from first principles thinking. He rebuilds problems from the ground up. See that? Not dreamer, not smart, but first principles thinker.
Yeah, that sounds high level.
Exactly. Another woman said, we're not just getting better tech, we're witnessing a paradigm shift that's going to fundamentally reshape society. Not AI changes everything, a paradigm shift.
Whoa, same meaning, but it sounds 10 times more serious.
Because it shows depth. It shows respect for the idea. In American culture, when someone talks like that, people listen. Because it feels like, okay, this person thinks big.
So it's not vocabulary to impress people, it's vocabulary to match the size of the idea.
Yes, that's it. When the topic is huge, your language has to grow too. If you use small words, you sound small. If you use layered language, you sound credible.
So how do Americans describe people like Musk or Sam Altman?
They don't say successful. They say things like, he's a game changer. He's betting big on the future. He's willing to stick his neck out. He fails forward. Hear those?
Yeah, they feel alive.
Because psychologically, Americans admire risk. Failure isn't shameful, it's a stepping stone. If you try something crazy and crash, people don't laugh. They go, well, at least he had the guts. That mindset shapes the language. So instead of he failed, they say he's learning the hard way. He's pushing the envelope. He's breaking new ground. It's softer, stronger, more respectful.
So when I said he's rich and smart, it sounded like a kid talking?
Yeah, like you're describing your classmate. But when you say, he's a relentless visionary who keeps pushing beyond what we think is possible, now you sound like you belong at that table.
Ah, that feels like a different version of me.
And that's the solution. Not studying harder, but upgrading how you frame ideas. Here's what you can practice starting today. When you talk about a big person or big change, pause, stretch the sentence, add cause and impact. Instead of, AI is big, say, we're watching a shift that could redefine how humans work, learn, and even think. Same English, just deeper thinking. That's conversational English at an advanced level. That's real American English.
So, speak like the future's big, not small.
Exactly. Because when your language grows, your confidence grows with it. And once you feel that shift, you don't just sound fluent, you sound like someone people actually want to listen to.
Okay, so if that's the first step, what's next?
Next, we talk about something Americans respect even more than genius. Not brilliance, not money, resilience.
Resilience.
Yeah, because anyone can look smart when things go well. But when everything falls apart and you still stand up, that's when people lean in and listen.
That hits different.
Let me ask you something. Have you ever been in a professional dinner and everyone suddenly starts talking about someone successful and your brain just freezes?
Last week, they were talking about Jensen Huang, NVIDIA, AI chips, the future of computing. Everyone sounded sharp, confident, and I was like, he works hard. That's it. 3 words. I swear, I felt like a middle school kid at an adult table.
Yeah, I know that feeling. It's not that your idea is wrong, it's just too small for the moment. Works hard sounds like homework. But his story isn't homework, it's survival.
So, what should I say instead?
Think bigger, think longer, think emotional weight. Instead of he works hard, try something like he led the company through decades of volatility with an unshakable resilience. Feel that?
Yeah, that sounds like leadership, not effort.
Exactly. American English often stretches the sentence to show respect. They don't compress big lives into tiny words. Because psychologically, Americans admire people who get knocked down and get back up. That's the hero story here. Not perfect people, people who survive the storm.
So, it's less about talent, more about endurance.
Right. At another dinner, someone mentioned Malala, and I almost said, she's brave, but then I stopped myself, because brave felt cheap, too light. Her story isn't light, so I said, her story is proof of what happens when someone refuses to be silenced and becomes a catalyst for change. The whole table went quiet.
Yeah, that sounds powerful.
Because now you're not labeling her, you're honoring her journey. That's the shift. Instead of she's brave, say she stood her ground. She fought an uphill battle. She became a voice for a generation. She weathered the storm. These phrases carry history inside them.
So, Americans don't say things directly, they paint the struggle.
Exactly. They tell the climb. Because resilience is emotional. When you say someone pushed through the odds or came out swinging or turned pain into fuel, people don't just understand, they feel it. That's conversational English. That's human English. That's how real American English connects.
I think I see the pattern now. When the story is heavy, the language has to carry weight too.
Yes. And here's the practical trick you can use tonight. When you describe someone's success, don't talk about the result first. Talk about the struggle. Not he's successful, but he kept going when most people would have quit. Not she changed the world, but she refused to accept the status quo and became a catalyst for change. See how that works?
Yeah, it sounds more adult, more respected.
Because you're showing perspective. And honestly, when you talk like that, people assume you think deeply, even if your grammar isn't perfect. That's the secret nobody tells learners. Perfection doesn't earn respect. Depth does.
So, instead of short sentences, I slow down, expand, add the human side.
Exactly. Stretch your thought. Add struggle. Add impact. Add meaning. That's how you sound fluent without chasing big vocabulary.
Wow, I always thought advanced English meant complicated words.
No, it's emotional accuracy. It's choosing phrases that match reality. And when you do that, you don't just speak English. You sound like you belong in the room.
Okay, so we covered visionaries and now resilience. What about people who influence society in quieter ways?
Okay, so we talked about visionaries, then resilience, people who survive storms. But what about someone who doesn't build rockets, doesn't run chips, and still changes the world?
Yeah, that's where language comes in. Because sometimes power isn't what you build, it's what you say, and how you say it.
You mean like Obama?
Exactly.
Funny you say that. Last month at a networking event, people started talking about him. Politics, leadership, speeches. Everyone sounded thoughtful, deep. And I opened my mouth and said, he speaks well. That was it. 3 words again. I swear, the second it came out, I wanted to disappear.
Yeah, speaks well sounds like you're describing a student in English class, not someone who moved a nation.
I know. It felt small, like I reduced something huge into something tiny.
Because you did, and it's not your English level, it's the frame. In American English, when someone has that kind of influence, we don't talk about skill, we talk about impact.
So, what should I say?
Think emotionally, think spatially. Instead of he speaks well, try he has an extraordinary gift for rhetoric that can bridge even the deepest divides. Feel the difference?
Yeah, that sounds like someone you respect, not just someone fluent.
Exactly. Because great speakers don't just talk, they command the room, they hold the floor, they make people lean forward without raising their voice. That's presence.
Presence, not grammar.
Right. When Americans talk about Obama, they don't say famous leader. They say things like, his legacy is defined by the way he articulated a vision that resonated with people's souls. That's not vocabulary flexing. That's emotional precision.
It sounds bigger, slower, more intentional.
Because charisma lives in space, not speed. He pauses, he lets silence sit. And that silence, it says, I don't need to rush. I already have your attention. That's authority.
So even silence is communication.
Sometimes silence is the loudest thing in the room. In American conversational English, powerful people don't fill every gap. They let their words breathe. That's how they leave a mark. That's how they stick with you.
Wow. At that dinner, someone said he inspired a whole generation. And I remember thinking, how do they talk like that so naturally?
Because they're not describing the man, they're describing the effect. Try this shift. Not, he's a famous leader, but he has a measured response style and a quiet strength that makes people trust him. Not, he talks good, but when he speaks, the whole room slows down. See? You paint the atmosphere.
It feels more cinematic.
Yeah, because humans remember feelings, not labels. You can also use everyday American phrases like, he moves the needle, he sets the tone, he changes the narrative, he leaves a lasting footprint. These aren't fancy, they're human. They show influence without exaggeration.
So if I say he's good at speaking, people forget. But if I say he has a way of making people believe they're part of something bigger, people feel it.
Exactly. And here's the practical part for you. When you describe someone influential, ask yourself 3 things. What happens to the room? What happens to people? What changes after they speak? Answer those, and your English instantly sounds mature. That's real-life English. That's human English. That's American English people actually use.
So it's not about sounding smart. It's about making others see the moment.
Yes, language isn't decoration, it's connection. And once you learn to speak like this, you don't just describe leaders, you start sounding like one.
Okay. Vision, resilience, presence. I think I finally understand what high-status English really means.
Good, because now that you see the patterns, it's time to talk about what happens if you don't use them and what changes when you finally do.
What happens if you don't use them? That question's kind of scary, Anna, because now I keep replaying those moments in my head. The networking night with the Elon Musk conversation. The dinner where everyone described Jensen Hong like he was this steady captain in a storm. And then Obama. And every time, I sound like a kid. Short, flat, small.
Yeah, and the scary part isn't grammar mistakes, it's invisibility.
Invisibility?
When your English is too simple, people don't argue with you. They don't reject you. They just move on, like you weren't even there.
That's exactly how it felt. Like the conversation kept flowing and I got left behind.
Because language is status in real life. Not perfect grammar, not big words, but emotional precision. If you keep saying, he's smart, she's brave, he's famous, people hear high school energy, not professional presence. And in American English, that difference quietly decides who gets listened to and who gets ignored.
So even if I have ideas, they never land.
Yeah, it's like knocking on a door softly while everyone else is walking in confidently. That's the cost. Missed chances, missed respect, missed connections. And over time, it hurts your confidence. You start telling yourself, maybe I'm just bad at speaking.
Which is exactly what I used to think.
But here's the flip side, and this is the part people don't realize. When you train just a little every day, even 30 minutes, your whole presence changes. Not someday, not next year. I mean in weeks.
30 minutes doesn't sound like much.
Because it isn't. Listen while cooking, shadow sentences while walking, describe people out loud in fuller thoughts while driving. That's how real conversational English grows, not textbooks, daily life.
So instead of he's a good speaker, I practice saying he has this calm authority that makes the whole room trust him.
Exactly. And after a while, it becomes automatic. You stop translating. You start feeling. That's when your American English sounds alive. And something weird happens. People lean in more. They ask your opinion. They treat you differently.
Like, they take me seriously?
Yeah, because now you sound like you belong. You're not chasing the conversation anymore. You're shaping it. That's the benefit. More confidence, more respect, more doors opening quietly. And honestly, it feels good, like finally being seen.
So the pain is staying small, but the reward is becoming someone people actually listen to.
Exactly. Same brain, same ideas, just stronger language. That's it. Learn English, connect with world. Not louder, just deeper.
Okay, then don't give me more theory. Tell me what to do next. How do I actually train this every day?
Good question, because the next part is where everything starts to click. You know what's funny, Kenny? After all these years teaching American English, the biggest surprise for me wasn't grammar, wasn't vocabulary, it was this. The people who improved the fastest weren't the smartest, they were just consistent. Small effort, every day.
So, not talent, just habits?
Yeah, because real English, everyday English, it's not perfect. It's messy, emotional, human. Sometimes you pause, sometimes you search for words, sometimes you say something half wrong and still laugh. And that's exactly why it sounds alive. If you wait until you're perfect, you never speak. But if you practice a little every day, your mouth relaxes, your thoughts flow, your voice starts sounding like you.
30 minutes still feels small, though.
It is small. That's the magic. You practice while cooking dinner, while making coffee, while walking through the grocery store. Just talking to yourself, describing the world in longer, warmer sentences. 3 months, you notice progress. 6 months, people notice. 1 year, you don't translate anymore. You just talk. And suddenly someone says, "Wow, your English sounds natural." That moment, it changes everything.
So, it's not about studying harder, it's about living in the language.
Exactly. Learn English, connect with world. Not pressure, connection. If this conversation helped you even a little, maybe share it with someone who feels stuck like you used to. And stay with us for the next episode, because we're just getting started.
So, what's waiting for us next?
Let's wrap this up together.
So, after everything we talked about tonight, it's kind of funny. I always thought speaking American English meant sounding impressive. Big words, perfect grammar. But now it feels simpler than that.
Exactly, Kenny, because it is. It's not about performing. It's about connecting, talking about ideas that matter, about people who shape the world, about music, life, failure, dreams, and letting your voice carry feeling. 30 minutes a day is enough. While you're cooking, folding laundry, walking through the store, just describe your thoughts out loud like you're talking to a friend. That's how everyday English becomes yours.
So, English isn't something I study anymore. It's something I live with.
Exactly. Small practice every day. That's how confidence grows without you noticing. If today's conversation helped you, share it with someone who needs a little push, and stay with our English with EduWorld family.
Hey, can we ask them something?
Yeah, before you go, quick question. When you speak English, what feels harder? A, finding vocabulary, B, speaking confidently. Comment vocabulary or confidence. We'd love to hear you. And if you enjoy learning this way, subscribe and walk with us.
See you next time.
Take care and keep speaking. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.